Hello again, you gorgeous bastards. I hope you're all keeping well and you're continuing in this fight against this insanity that's being foisted upon us every day. I want to especially welcome the new people who signed onto the channel. I've got many new subscribers since the debacle with the Drumchambo 600 and the kneecap thing and all that, the Misha Era stuff, and so, welcome. Now, you might not want to speak, you might not still be subscribed by the end of this video because a lot of the topics I talk about on here are very challenging. I'm probably, you know, they're going to be out there. You're going to be dealing with things that you've never heard probably in many other places, even in alternative media. And I am definitely an acquired taste, and I'm not for everyone's palate. And I totally understand when people say, "Oh, he's not really for me. I'm moving on," or "I don't really get that. I think it's weird." That's okay. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Those of you who do stay, I do tend to have an audience that is very loyal, and that there's many people that are still subscribers from when I started the channel about 15 years ago. Regular commentators and everything on the videos. So it's obviously someone's getting something from it. Now, I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm just giving my model of the universe as I see it from, I think I have a unique perspective because of my life into the world and because of things I've taken an interest in, that I feel that I can offer something different and something that I think is actually quite plausible. In fact, to me, it is the truth. Well, it is the truth that I'm most comfortable with right now. And that is, if you've been following me right back to my beginning of my work, is that there is an eternal war on this planet between what we call the demon world and what we call humans. And it's expressed in numbers of ways. And it's regardless of what religion you are, it's still a fact. It's a universal maxim that's accepted everywhere all over the world. Now, when I say the demon world, I'm not talking about specifically about evil or devils or anything like that. Think of two forces like the yin and yang. There's one force and then the opposite force. And they're constantly in a battle. Remember, sometimes humans are evil too. And they're constantly in a battle. And this battle is what creates the equilibrium that brings the universe into manifestation via things such as the quantum theory view of reality, which has existed for many thousands of years in things like Plato's forms and in ancient Greece, and also, the Maya of the Hindus and the Vedic world. So it's not a new idea, but it's the reality is there's two forces, and humans are just on one force, part of this force, and demons are on the other side of this force. Now, demons are expressed in lots of ways. Don't think in terms of like they look like, the stereotypical characters you'll see in like fiction and movies and stuff. Yes, that's how we visualize them because that's how our minds generate this image, this sort of simulacrum of them in order to see them. But the reality is it's just another force that we're on the other side of us and is struggling to maintain dominance as we are. So it's like that. Now, is it evil? Well, it's evil in the sense that it's pernicious and it's trying to undermine us. But it's like that line in The Lord of the Rings when Faramir kicks over the Dundadin and tells Sam, "Do you think his convictions are any less than yours?" And so there's a great, this is wisdom as well. Now, wisdom can also be self-destructive when you apply it to say, like, well, our enemies are just like us, we should love them, which is one of the reasons I have a problem with Christianity. And I'm not knocking Christians. I have no problem with individual Christian people. I'm just saying that's a big problem that the Christianity has foisted upon the West. The love thy neighbor, love thy enemy, give thy bed to the stranger kind of thing. And it's not a good thing for cultures to survive. Any culture, both the native culture and the incoming culture, and so on. And the culture is a great way to defend against the demon world. In Ireland, the demon world was specifically expressed in a supernatural sense with the fairies. The fairies, the She in Ireland, were not like the Fae or the lovely little Tinkerbells of, English of Anglo fairy world. They're very different. They were a malicious race that were out to destroy us. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why. Is that that Christians in Ireland said they were the fallen from heaven, where pagans like me tend to believe that we're told also by the Christians that it was the Tuatha Dé Danann. No, the Tuatha Dé Danann are us in a different form that have been waiting to come alive and resurrect again, remove themselves from the mounds and barrows and stand beside us as our equals. But that's another thing. Okay, now we've already gone out there, but I'm going to take it one step further. Now, one of the most insightful comments I've ever read in the history of social media, I've read on my Telegram page today, when somebody said, and it was just a phenomenal observation, that the COVID lockdowns was a global plebiscite. You were given the first great vote in history to say yes or no to tyrants. And the overwhelming majority of people said yes to the tyrants. So the most important global vote in history, a plebiscite for the Western soul, was issued, and the most Westerners failed miserably. So we're basically, since 2020, when most people accepted a lockdown, and people like my friend John Waters have written extensively on this, I see the whole thing as a spiritual thing. Many of you who follow me for all through would know that we're it's like, the final battle for the human soul, the human race is happening right now. And many things tie into it, from AI to woke to transgenderism. It's all this stuff, and especially mRNA jabs. Now, why, you may ask, are mRNA jabs important? A part of all this. If you've seen the movie Patton, there's a tremendous scene where George C. Scott, who was a believer in reincarnation, General Patton, played by George C. Scott, who was a believer in reincarnation. They're in North Africa or Italy. He's with Walter Matthau, who plays another US officer, and it's an excellent film. And they go to a site of a battle between the Carthaginians and the Romans. And George C. Scott, as Patton, goes out and starts explaining the Carthaginian dead were here, the Roman dead were here. The people from the village came along and stripped their bodies naked of everything to keep for themselves, took their clothes and their belongings. And he turns to Walter Matthau and he says, "You know how I know this? I was here." And then he recites a poem where he talks about, "I've lived through many lives, and in all of them I've been me." It's an incredibly powerful scene. You can go find it on YouTube, but I suggest you watch the whole film, although it's not really about that. But that scene, it does something to that movie and takes it somewhere very special indeed. Now, so if you're involved in a multi-lifetime, multi-generational, multi-epoch battle between two forces, what's the best way to stop your adversary from coming back? You stop them from reincarnating. Now, before I go any further, I'm not saying that people who got the Jabberwocky are not going to reincarnate. In fact, I think a major part of it is, if you're aware you made a mistake, you stupidly made a mistake, or you were coerced or blackmailed into it, or you're a young kid and your parents made you do it, or an adult or anything, I think just being aware of it is enough to probably offset the effects, as well as doing things like looking after your health and so on, to make sure that if Mother Hydra's babies do come to jam your arteries, that you are so healthy that they can't do it, or the spawn of the night guns come to savor your most delicious organ, your pancreas, with turbo cancer, that it's just not there for them to do it. So if you've been Jabberwockied, if you think in terms of like, I have a spiritual power inside me and I'm also going to look after my health that will defeat this, I think you can. I think you'd be okay. I think because knowledge is the important thing here. Because remember, when dealing with black magic here, and the purpose of black magic is always the knowledge that you're given the knowledge, but you chose every time to ignore it. Now, I'm talking about people who might be inclined to come towards our side of things and say, "Shit, why did I ever get that thing inside me?" I'm not talking about the person who literally sold their souls for a Krispy Kreme donut. I'm not talking about the people who put up stickers on their social media saying, "I just had my jibby jabby and I'm better than you." They're already the foot soldiers of Choronzon, and there's no hope for them. They will be destroyed, and their soul they'll be eaten alive by Mother Hydra's babies and the spawn of the night guns, or both, and they will dissipate upon the threshold of the abyss, never to be reborn ever again. Now, why am I? How does the needlecraft do that? Well, every culture believes that you have a certain essence inside you, a certain thing that you carry through generations and generations, and it's in what they're talking about is their DNA. And if your DNA remains intact, no matter what race or group you are, or if you have, if you're mixed race, you will carry on and fine, no problem. Once you do not corrupt your internal essence. Now, there's in within the in within paganism, there's a concept of this tripartite soul, and you need all three to reincarnate. You need your personal soul, which is you as an individual. You need the oversoul, which is the God force, however you want to realize that, and you also have the tribal soul. And again, it's not affected by being mixed race. There's no problem with that. You'll still come back as mixed race or either one of the other races. So it doesn't matter. But once the important thing is that the DNA is not corrupted, the essence is not polluted. And this is like you get this in even modern mythology, like in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, how the Uruk-hai were made, how the orcs were once elves and stuff like that, who were you know destroyed within Melkor's DNA labs, or what people call it, but the labs within Khazad-dûm, and it's all through history, that the corruption of the essence, all through mythology, and so you can't reincarnate if you have it's like you have a thing that can't tune into the radio frequency, wherever it is that causes you to reincarnate. You don't have it. Also, another important part of reincarnation is your gender. If you study groups like the Druids, and I'm not talking about someone who says in a previous life I was Cleopatra, these types, where you have very well studied, authentic and verifiable cases, and there's lots of them, bulletproof cases of genuine reincarnation, where you can actually list, real things that they couldn't have known otherwise. They always come back as the same gender. So, what are the two things that the globalists, the cultural Marxists, the National Socialists of the day, because remember, it was called National Socialism. So, those people who call themselves woke or fight for woke or the foot soldiers of all that stuff and Antifa, they're really continuing the National Socialist battle. When National Socialism was, remember, the German people were defeated in World War II. The National Socialists just became the European Union and then used cultural Marxism, cultural fascism, not fascism, cultural wokeism, cultural Marxism. That's why the Antifa types behave just like the fascists of the 1930s. They're the same type. They've just come back in different bodies. They've reincarnated, and this is why they use the same tactics, and they behave the same way. And then they call others fascists. They're National Socialists. They're the original socialist foot soldiers, and they've come back again in a different body. They just call themselves Antifa or some group against fascism. But that's why they behave like the National Socialists in the 30s. They behave like the brown shirts. Remember, the brown shirts was full of all kinds of fruity types. That's how they started out. They recruited all the weirdos from like the cruising clubs and all the other weird sex clubs around Munich and Germany, and Ernst Röhm brought them into the brown shirts. That's how they came about. And that's why they're all the same reason they're all these weird fruity types. I'm not talking about gay people. I'm talking about like really oddball, like weirdos, straight, gay and straight. So you need your gender and you need your intact DNA to transform. So this is why when you see people who have transitioned, I'm not saying all of them, because I'm not going to judge anybody, any adult what they want to do with their life is their own business. If they want to become a man wants to become a woman, or a woman wants to become a man, that's your own business. I'm never going to stop in your way. I have a huge problem with children being influenced by this, and this is why they're hitting the schools. This is why they're hit. The demons are now have been hitting the schools hard, because they're trying. They scored an enormous victory with the needlecraft, and they're coming for round 2 with the transgender thing. The third one is AI, by the way, and so they're coming after they're after the children. Now, I know those of you who come on here just don't know about me. This is the reality of the world you live in, and look around you. If you have any kind of emotions, a sense of self inside, your spiritual like gravitas, regardless of what you are, Christian, anything, atheist, pagan, you feel, you can sense it. Everyone says there's something wrong with the world. Why? Because we're losing the battle to the demon world. We're losing it as a whole, and we may have already lost. And basically, those of us who are broken from it are probably just going to be refugees for many thousands of years until we can reverse this again. So don't give this, this doesn't mean you can't have a happy life or anything. You will, but you just have your chances of having a happy life are better when you know what the real rules of the game are. When you know what the rules of engagement are, your chances of having a contented, long life is much, much easier, because you're less likely to sacrifice your life essence for a Krispy Kreme donut or a quarantine sticker on your social media. Or you're less than likely to sacrifice your gender because you saw a TV show where it was cool, or they came into your school and they said the reason why you have depression, or the reason why you don't feel you fit in, is you're really a girl or you're really a boy. And there's also an enormous slaughter. There's a mass. Basically, trans is a postnatal abortion for many gay men. Most gay young guys now who are coming up, or even lesbians that are coming up, are now being postnatal aborted, by the demon world, because instead of telling them, oh, well, you're gay or a lesbian, they're saying, oh, you're the wrong gender, let me cut your balls off, or give you a fake penis and fill you full of drugs. It's horrible. It's horrible. And of course, the pride movement is led by demons. If they really cared about, and I know there's loads of gay people who are against all that stuff, but if it was led by decent gay people, they would immediately jump on this stuff and say, stop doing, those kids are gay, leave them alone. That's like the song by Pink Floyd, hey teacher, leave these kids alone. That should be, the new lyrics of that should be, hey teacher, leave these gays alone. That's really what the whole transgender thing should be. It's pure evil. Let the kids become gay, or sometimes they just go through stages, and they're not gay or lesbian. They just, the hormones are all over the place. But this is why you will see that the most woke are the most pro-trans for children, and they're also tend to be in that world, and they're the most pro of the COVID mullahs. They were most pro lockdown, the most pro where, you have a picture of they'd have their name on social media, their little rainbow flag, Palestinian flag, and something like wear a mask, stay at home, get vaccinated. Their infusion and their alliance with the demon world is absolutely in totality. Absolutely. These are the foot soldiers of the demon world. Always remember that. When you're dealing with these people, you're not dealing with a human, you're dealing with a demon in a human skin suit. Now, and that's why you don't even talk to them. You walk away. You have nothing to do with them, because your soul is immortal. This is why everyone around them becomes depressed and miserable. This is why anyone who's normal enters into that world. Suicide is very high, or depression is a normal thing, because they're not with their human kind. They're with their demon. They're with the demon kind. So, and I know this is blowing your mind, saying this guy's full of shit. What's he on about? But this is the story of the human. This is the story of this planet. Go to every indigenous culture, from the Dogon of Western Africa to the Maasai of Kenya, to the Nilotex of Tanzania, to the Iroquois of North America, to everywhere, you name it. The Micronesian Islanders, to the ancient Europeans. This is how they viewed the world. That this was an eternal battle for the soul, and the demon world is always trying to affect us. Like the Penagagalong of Indonesia. It just goes on and on. There's no end to it. And if you study comparative mythology from around the world like I had, you see this is a total maxim. It's not only do we have things such as the hero's journey as a maxim, and all these other concepts that are expressed through mythology, that are these archetypal sort of issuances that come forward. But there's also the maxim that we're in an eternal battle with another force on this planet that's not human, that wants to destroy us. And we have to destroy it. Well, we'll never destroy it, but the eternal battle is always there. You know, Agni, the fire always burns. And every so often we have a changeover. We have, like in the Hindu world, the yugas. And you would come to the end of the Kali Yuga, and we have a massive destruction of the demon world. So, you know, this is a common thing as well. We have the final battle, like here in Irish mythology, the battle of, the second battle of Moitua was the Battle of the Spirit, the one that took place by Loch Allen and Sligo. The first one was the battle on the land, which was down on the Galway-Mayo border near the Neil. That's where the first one happened, around the Cong area. And so there's the battle on the earth. So that's right now, the battle on the earth between the people who just want the human race to be happy, and then the others who want to bring us into this transhumanist, transgender, corrupted DNA hellscape. And we have to win that one first. And it might not happen in our lifetimes. It could happen in our lifetimes. Don't give up hope. But you'll be around, if you keep your DNA intact, you'll be around to see the eventual victory in the future. And then we will have, like, the demon Kali will be destroyed again. Now, don't get confused. There's the demon Kali and there's the goddess Kali. You know, there's two different things. The goddess Kali is the protector of the innocent and the family. She's the mother archetype, and she goes into a rage to kill demons who come after her family. So a lot of Christians and others think they see a picture of that Kali, she's a demon. No, she's normally the Parvati, in many aspects, not in all the Hindu traditions. She's Parvati, the mother, the loving wife and mother, but she will protect her family by exploding into Kali. There's another one, that's Kali Ma. There's another Kali called the Kali Demon, which is the end of this Kali Yuga that we're in now. So, but these cycles, the Ragnarok, they're always expressed in this way. This is, it's something that we'll have to deal with and always deal with, but it's what gives meaning to life. It creates art, poetry, and everything. This is why they're working on AI, things like ChatGPT and Mid-Journey and all this AI stuff that kill creativity. See, the artists it's like Terence McKenna was right. If the artist can't find the way, then the way cannot be found. So just about every artist I know has taken the transubstantiation of the sacred needlecraft. They just can't create anymore. They just can't. It's gone. And they're just might as well just go to Mid-Journey and print something out. They become art NPCs. So that's why the music is like the way it is, and everything, and the movies, and terrible. Everything is predictive, and everything is boring, and everything has this woke narrative. Very few things are interesting. So, this is that comment that person made, that saying that was the global plebiscite, is absolute God. That was one of the most wise statements I've ever read, because he summed up what I kind of knew it. It's like, I have that T-shirt that says, "Who you were during COVID." No, sorry, how you behave during COVID is the person you really are and always will be. That's so true. And the vast majority of the Western human race failed, and they're now being wiped out by no DNA. And this is why they're telling their little kids, "Oh, little Johnny, I saw him pick up Mary Cindy doll the other day and look at her for a second and put it down. Oh, that means he's really a girl. Let's cut his balls off, his dick and balls off, and put him on blockers." This is a sick world we live in, and it's not fault of people say, "Oh, what are humans like? What is this country like?" You have to remember, the reason why Simon Harris and the entire Irish population let that sweet little boy, I think that boy Harvey, who died of scoliosis, the beautiful angelic face that he has, he still has it. He just has it in the spirit world now. But that beautiful angelic face staring at you, that poor child in agony who died of extreme scoliosis, while the Irish establishment looked after Palestinians, Ukrainians, trans, you name it, everything except an Irish child. Remember, the Children's Hospital has still not been finished, the most expensive building in the history of the world. If we had a functioning, intelligent Irish population, they would already be swinging from lampposts. But no, they got sweet. That's another thing. The short attention span. They don't remember nothing. They have the attention span of fruit flies. Last week they were all up in arms over Sydney Sweeney. This week, Sydney who? This is what they're like. This is what they've done to them, and they've made them into kind of They are meat robots. They are meat robots. So this is it, like I said, expresses in so many ways. In Irish tradition is the fairy world, the she. Ragastani's tremendous work of theory fiction. The more I read it, and it's a difficult read, but now I know why the establishment were embracing this book as late as early as 10 years ago, and having art competitions and art exhibitions on it in the New School in Manhattan. For Christ's sake, the home of cultural Marxism, because they knew it was true as well, that oil underneath the Middle East has become a sentient force, and this is the reason why our entire planet is tortured by the existence of the Middle East and all the problems that manifest out of there. And yeah, a Lovecraftian God. It's become that's. I mean, I've got other videos, you can check them out, but that's another way it manifests. So it's amazing that people actually even manage to survive as long as they do and not be taken in by the thing. Some people, but here we are. So anyway, we are at the look. The bottom line is that we are at a great point of danger for the human race. We will survive because of enough of us didn't take the transubstantiation of the needlecraft that we can actually continue this fight going forward in this life and in lives to come. But they've scored an enormous victory with the COVID thing against us, and our government, our governments are pure evil. Our mainstream media is pure evil. Their foot soldiers, the Praetorian Guard, the woke, are pure evil. They're all working for the demonic world, and we are. And the reason why this may be is because we could be on the cusp of an enormous victory. These are spiritual rats backed into a corner. So it may seem dark at times, it may seem down, but remember that you will live to fight another day in this life and in more to come. And don't ever, ever give up, because the battle for the right for the human soul to exist will always go on. And while it's happening, we can still enjoy our lives and make the most of it. But you won't make the most of it watching the RT or the BBC or the CNN news. Switch all that off. You won't make the most of it by anything, anything the normies give you. Remember, at the end of the day, no matter what people say about you, how you feel about yourself, you didn't sell your soul for a Krispy Kreme donut. Always carry that as the song in your heart. Take care.